quite often, a lot of apartment buildings have multiple false alarms, and it gets to the point where the residents decide that they're not evacuated. And then if it is a fire, when they realize that, it might well be too late for them to evacuate. So if you find yourselves in a position where the fire alarm is activated and you're unable for whatever reason to evacuate, if there is a fire and you're in danger, if there's smoke in the hallway or smoke coming into your apartment, you need to close your door and call 911 and let us know what apartment that you're in. Okay? We have guys that are coming to get you this. So first thing we do when we come to a building like this is go to the fire floor and evacuate the residents. So the other issue that they're working on is an issue with audibility with your fire alarm. It's come to our attention. We did some testing, and there's some areas of the building that the fire alarm cannot be heard in the sleeping areas. Okay, the fire code today is very clear on that. The fire alarm must be heard in the sleeping areas. So we've addressed that with management. They're going to hire a professional to evaluate the need and how to implement that. That's the lengthy part of the process. So in the meantime, what you guys can do for your own safety is make sure that you maintain your smoke detectors in your apartments. Okay, you need to change the batteries twice a year. You need to test them. Some cases say weekly, some will say monthly. Monthly is certainly sufficient. Weekly is better. That is the resident's responsibility. It's not building's responsibility typically, unless there's something in your lease that says they'll maintain them. But regardless of whose responsibility is, it's in your best interest to maintain them yourselves. It's very quick, it's very cost efficient. And on the other side of that, if you have issues with your smoke detectors, you don't know how to test them, you don't know how to change the batteries, you can contact us and we'll come out and we'll take care of it for you. Okay? Another big thing you can do for yourselves is to, in the first place, prevent the fires. Cooking fires are one of the biggest loss of life fires that we have. And in Montgomery County, I want to say probably the last half a dozen life losses that we've had have been elderly in residents that have died. So to that end, cooking fires, make sure that you supervise your cooking. Make sure you're not wearing loose clothing. We've had more than one incidents in the last couple of years where a resident was cooking, ignited their clothes on fire, and subsequently died. Very minor fire, other than the person. So that's very real. So there was something else I want to go into before the lady. It is required if the fire alarm goes off that you evacuate the building. The hope is that it's not a fire, but you don't know. So don't hesitate to evacuate. If you have issues or questions, I'll leave some business cards here with my phone number and email address. You can certainly contact me there, and then after Mr. Delaney, I'll take some questions. Unless anybody has something real quick right now. Bill?
Thanks for having us. Bill Delaney, I work in the Office of the Fire Chief. I manage all our fire and injury prevention programs, which means I try to prevent a 911 call. And as well, I do social media and public information as well. So if some of you are on social media and stuff, please look us up. We get a lot of safety tips out through that. We get a lot of emergency information out through that as well at times. And what's going on, so I certainly encourage you to look us up. You'll find us. So please do that. I'm just going to go over a couple things specific, and can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? To touch on, go into a little more detail to what Captain Mann was talking about, and really the key is in all this is having a plan before something bad happens. Where a lot of things go wrong is we all have the attitude, this isn't going to happen to me. This happens to someone else. And as you heard earlier, this happened to someone else just right down the street. Okay? So it can happen here. And we want to be ready for it. And if you prepare, plan, and even practice what you're going to do, then you'll be ready if something bad happens. We find that most people get themselves in trouble when they don't think about this, they don't know two ways out of their home, suddenly there's a fire, they sort of panic because they don't know what to do, and they make some poor decisions at times. So what we're going to go over is help you maybe develop a little bit of a fire evacuation plan. And by the way, I do have some lovely parting gifts for you to take home, including a bag to put them in, that go over some safety tips and how to prevent fire, some of which Captain Mann already touched on a little bit. But we can't go into too much detail because we'd be sitting here till 10, 11, 12 tonight. And there's so much, I don't think you want to stand here and listen to us all that time. But anyways, so having a plan. First of all, right now, what we probably should have said before we started is, by the way, if the fire alarm goes off, where are your nearest exits? Who knows where the nearest exits are? Point, show me, where are the nearest exits?
Yeah, the nearest one is...
Okay. Okay, here's what's interesting. Half of you pointed to the door right here. Of those of you who pointed at that door, how many of you came in that door to come to this meeting? Okay, thank you for being honest. And there's no test and you don't get a bad grade or, sorry, you can't have any dessert. But the closest exit, I think, is right there, maybe. It might even be directly outside. That's where people run into problems. Is all of you, about half of you, were going to go running for this one little door right here. And by the way, there's an exit right behind you, too. And everyone's running for this one door. It's going to take a little bit for all you guys to get through this one little door, isn't it? Okay. So, again, know where your closest exits are. Know more than one way out. Because chances are, if there's a fire and you don't have a plan, you're going to try to come and go, or you're going to try to go the way you come and go every day. And the bad news is, what if that way is blocked? What if it's blocked by fire? What are you going to do? There probably is another option, but because you haven't planned, you don't know it. So please, know two ways out. Know exactly what you're going to do. Know your nearest stairwell. Where's your nearest stairwell? Okay, know how to get to that. And know what to do, and we'll talk about in a little more detail. Captain Mann alluded to it. Maybe if you can't get out because you physically are unable to get out, whether it be because you're in a wheelchair or there's heavy smoke and maybe fire and you just can't get out. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But that's what you have to do before. Now, some people, their first course of action is, I'm going to go running for the balcony. Okay, how many of you have that plan first? No. Don't. Hopefully your first plan is to get out your front door, go down the stairwell and out. That's the safest way to do it. It truly is. Some people ask, how high did the ladders go? And generally, I used to drive one of those big ladder trucks, 100-foot ladder. You figure 10 feet per floor. So a 100-foot ladder should reach what? 10 floors. You didn't know you get a math quiz tonight, did you? So, theoretically. But that's when the ground is nice and flat. It's right up against the building. The truck's against the building. The ladder's like this. And then even then, it's just going to be the tip, probably. Realistically, 5 or 6 floors, maybe, depending. So some people make the mistake of running right for that balcony when they could have walked out their front door. And we've had situations like that, where people have done that. They could have gotten out initially. And this is a pretty large building. And we can get a lot of help here, but you certainly make our job easier if those of you who are able to physically get out when you can, and maybe leave those who maybe truly are trapped, allow us to deal with that. But we have had situations where we've had everyone go running for their balconies, and now all of a sudden we have all these people that are trapped on their balconies where if they had gone out their front doors like they could have at the time, they would have been fine. Would have been absolutely fine. So have a plan. Balcony should be your last resort. Okay? So right now, if the alarm goes off in the building, as Captain Mann said, you are required by law to leave the building. Theoretically, well, not theoretically, we can. There's a little monetary inspiration too. If you don't leave the building when a fire alarm goes off, you can be written a $500 civil citation. Okay, now, and made out to you personally, not the building, it's you. Okay? And that's just the law. Now, we also know reality. And sometimes, obviously, people cannot physically leave for a variety of reasons. Again, whether it be smoke or fire, or you're in a wheelchair, or you use a walker, you just aren't going to be able to get down the stairs. If that happens and your apartment, your condo is not the one on fire, right? Close the door, go to the back bedroom, and do what? Close that one. And actually, before you even go from the first one, there's probably a little bit of a, well, maybe not in this building, or is there a little bit of a space between your bottom part of your door and the floor? Maybe not, but newer buildings are open. I won't get into that detail. But anyways, close your door. Put a little bit of, and it doesn't have to be wet or anything like that. Just jackets, blankets, or whatever that are right there quickly to do. Put that underneath it so the smoke doesn't come up through. Go to your back bedroom, close that door, do the same thing. And what are you doing? You're building a barrier. You're buying time. Because 75% of the time in fires, people die from smoke inhalation, not from fire, not from direct flame contact. It's the smoke that's going to get you 75% of the time. So you go to your back bedroom, you do that again, and then what do you do after that? Call 911, as Catman said. Hi, I'm in an apartment, or I'm in unit 3G, or however it's numbered. It's on the front side of the building. I'm trapped. I couldn't get out. There's thick black smoke and fire in the hallway. Here's where I'm at. Come and get me. And that will be our top priority. Okay. Likewise, if the alarm goes off, it's not the fire. Well, let me take a step back. If the fire is in your apartment, what do you need to do? Get out. No. Do not call 911 from your unit on fire. We've had, a few years back, even not too far from here, someone who did that. They called from their house on fire, and by the time we got there, he had succumbed, breathed in those terrible toxic smoke and didn't make it. You might have even, were you on that call? Elderly gentleman? What was that? 24's area? You maybe weren't there at the time. But anyways, yeah, made the call, said, hey, my house is on fire, but unfortunately he was in the house in his home on fire. Don't let it fool you. That smoke can knock you out quickly. It's not going to take much. So get out of your unit. Close the door. Okay, or do these close behind you?
They close behind.
Okay, good. This building's about time. That's actually a fire code thing, by the way. Okay, and that came as a result of a lot of times fires in these buildings, people would leave their doors open, and the fire would just come out and run down the hallways and run into and it'd just get big fast. So that is a fire code, so don't mess with the doors. So I know sometimes people like to mess with those doors because they don't like them closing all the time. So don't mess with it. That's actually a fire code requirement. It's there to protect you and the rest of the residents here. Okay, so the door closes. What do you do from that? Yeah, go initiate your exit plan. Go to your nearest stairwell, go out. As Catman said, there should be a nice little red box that you can pull that sets the fire alarm off, so that, boom, you're notifying the rest of the building now that, hey, there's maybe a problem here, and then you go down the stairwell. Plain and simple. Okay? Once you are safely outside, if you have a cell phone, once you are safely outside, then call 911. Okay, or have someone with the cell phone call 911 and let us know that there's a problem. Okay? And usually when there's a big fire, we know about it because several people call, and that's fine. We're okay with that. The more people that call, the better, because we'll send the cavalry a lot quicker then. So please do call, but do it once you're in a safe location. Don't do it from your unit on fire. Okay? Is everybody good with that? Now, if fire alarm goes off and the fire is obviously not in your unit, you crack the door open, just take a peek out. No sign of smoke or fire. Obviously, if you're able to do so, again, initiate your plan, go out the door, down the stairwell. If for some reason you feel you physically can't make it down the stairs, and there's no sign of smoke or fire, if you can get down to the stairwell anyways, get to the outside of the stairwell, just hang out outside the stairwell, and this is where your neighbors come in too, and let them know, hey, you know, I'm here, it's all fine, there's no smoke or fire, right? Okay, and you can maintain there. We'll be operating in the stairwells. What happens if all of a sudden smoke appears? Get in the stairwell. Okay, now obviously you can't get down the stairwell, but that's okay. Just get in the stairwell, that's your area of protection. But that's what you do there. Yes?
In the situation where someone, you know, is not that mobile, should they ever take the elevator?
No, absolutely do not take the elevator. Absolutely not. Those things have been, you're not supposed to. They've been known to malfunction during fires. And even open up right on the floor that's on fire. You know, if it's not your floor. I mean, boom, opens up. So no, you can't do that. Okay, but that's your call. If you feel you physically cannot leave the building, then certainly take those steps we just mentioned, and go from there. Okay. Any other questions on that at all? Yes.
One of our neighbors, our last fire that we had, that I'm aware of, she had just had knee replacement. And everybody had gotten out of the building. And by the time we were allowed back in the building, she was still just coming down the stairs. She couldn't get down. If everybody has left the building and you're the last man standing, go to the stairwell and dial 911 and tell them your location.
Well,
because, like I said, I mean, by the time we come back in, you know, poor Yvonne was...
Well, again, I would go back to what I just reviewed. The same would go for her. Okay, if there's smoke and fire on the floor, she probably never should have left her unit. And that's when you go back into the back bedroom, close the door, and call 911. Okay, and in that situation too, she could have gone to the stairwell, outside the stairwell, if there was no smoke or fire, and then if there was, or at some point if everybody had sort of left the floor, she could then go in at that point and just and could even yell down. I mean, she probably would hear the firefighters at that point, because that's where they're going to be, and maintain. Certainly have the cell phone with you, and if at any point, you know, you feel your life is in danger, certainly use it. Say, hey, I'm in the stairwell, I couldn't get any further than this, and, you know, I've seen smoke or this or that. But that's where also neighbors helping neighbors come in too. You know, someone really probably should have come to us and said, you know, looked around first of all and noticed she wasn't there. And if you knew she was in the building when the alarm went off.
I didn't know she had, if I had known that she was having surgery and she was recuperating, I would have done something, but I had no idea.
Right, and that's just it too. I mean, obviously you have to help yourself too. And neighbors can help neighbors, but you're right, if you don't know, and you find out after it's actually a knee replacement. But still, regardless, even if you have perfectly able-bodied people that can get down, and you know they're home, because you just talked to them 5 minutes before, and now you go downstairs and they're not out there, and you're looking around the building and they're not there, certainly give us a heads up. Now, that said, as Captain Mann can tell you, you know, our firefighters have a very systematic way of searching buildings, you know, first with the unit on fire, and then the ones around them, above, below. I mean, they're going to go to the areas where people are in most immediate danger, and then work their way from there. So eventually, you know, that they would get to that person. Yes?
I would like to have more details about what do I need to do if I need to test my smoke detector, please.
I'm sorry, I understand you talking about smoke.
What do I need to do
To test it,
if I need to test?
there's a button on the face of the smoke detector,
Okay.
and you depress that button and hold it
And it's going
for...
to sound?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it won't cause any alarms. That smoke detector will activate, and then when you let go of it, it'll stop.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for asking that. Yes.
What do we do with the wheelchair people?
I'm sorry?
Wheelchair people.
People in
Oh, just what I talked about. You know, there's a couple ways now, you know, that they can just wheel down to the stairwell. Again, if no smoke or fire. If there's even any remote thought that there's smoke or fire, you smell, you know, smoke, stay put, close the doors, go back to the bedroom, close the door, and then certainly call 911. Absolutely. Yes.
You mentioned cooking fires
Mhm.
earlier. If you're cooking and let's say a dish towel or something catches on fire, what should you do? Just try to stomp on it or put it in the sink or?
Well, you know, it's hard to say. I mean, first of all, yeah, you have a better chance if you're standing there watching. We always say watch what you heat. So did everyone hear the question first of all?
No.
Okay, question was, if she's cooking and suddenly like a towel catches on fire, what should she do? You know, most of the time I say, look, if there's a fire that starts, unless you know what to do, you have a fire extinguisher, you know how to use it, you know, you probably just get out, pull the fire alarm, call 911. We don't want you doing anything that you're not sort of trained to do that you can't do. But I would say, since you're there cooking, you probably would catch it early.
Right.
And be able to maybe throw it in the sink, and you know, but you've got to make that decision. The thing though, to make sure that that never happens, is if that happens, that tells me you had that towel too close to the stove or the oven, and you have it in the wrong place. So I would just say, and what you'll see in those safety tips up there, a lot of this talks about prevention, because most fires are actually preventable incidents. They're not accidents. They're just not accidents. Every once in a while, yes, there's maybe some sort of electrical type fire or something else or an act of God, but most of the time it's because we did or did not do something that resulted in the fire. So that flyer up there will talk about creating a little safe area where you have stuff that can't burn so easily. Now if it's something where the food you're cooking catches, you know, because maybe it got too hot, usually keep a lid right there and you can put a lid right on it. And just like us, fire needs air to breathe. So you take away the air, it's going to go out. But good question.
I have a question.
Yes.
A building this size, are we supposed to have like regular fire drills for the residents, or that's not required?
I mean, we always recommend to have at least one a year. That's what we recommend, just so again everyone can practice and plan. You can make a big community day out of it, sort of like you did here. You know, where you have a little picnic one day, or you know, on a beautiful day, on a weekend or whatever. Just let everyone know, hey, we're going to practice our plan. And for those that are in wheelchairs or have canes or whatever, you know, maybe can't get down the stairs. Part of their plan is to practice their shelter-in-place plan. And I realize probably with some of the events, some of you have heard the term shelter in place this past week. There's several different meanings for them, but that's one of them too. When that situation where I described you go back to the bedroom and shut the door, that's sheltering in place. So certainly that can be part of there. So they're practicing what they would normally do. But we find that the best way to handle that is you know, you play the way you practice, as I say. So if you don't know what to do, you don't know what to do. Now code-wise,
Well, you're not required to do a drill, but the building is required to develop a plan and disseminate it annually to the residents. Okay? So you should have something from the building, and I think that was actually addressed, Melvin. And that's part of what Mr. Delaney's office works on is, you know, if the building needs some assistance or evaluation as to how we should do it, he can help with that. But every year you should get something that says what the building's evacuation plan is.
Because I don't remember us ever having one.
Yeah, this man spoke to that with me as well.
Okay.
again, it's really helpful, you know. But that's where everyone has an opinion, just gets together and say, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Yes, we do have a spotless building that they're able to go to the 8th floor, and that's at the end, 804 Road that we, the other end, that's
That's your end.
and they're able to go to the 8th floor.
Okay.
So maybe we'll let everybody know.
That's fine, but again, your initial plan should be get out,
Get out
get down the
the
stairwell, you know, if at all possible. Any other questions at all? Yes?
So is it better to go to, if you're on one of the top floors, is it better to wait on your balcony or go to the very top?
No, it's better to go down the stairwell, period. Don't go to the top, don't go to the balcony.
But I'm saying if you don't have the option to go down the stairwell, like there's a fire.
So if you're let's say, okay, so if let's say you're totally trapped and maybe the fire's even in your apartment, your condo, then maybe you go to the balcony, you know, absolutely at that point. You know, or even if it's not and the smoke is so thick and everything in your condo again, then certainly go to your balcony. But see, sometimes what happens is sometimes the other thing that happens beside the ladder issue is sometimes the fire is in a unit below, and what you've now done is put yourself in a chimney, because all the heat and the smoke is going what? Right on up. But certainly that would be, and that could be as part of your plan, as sort of the, hey, this is my last resort. Like for example, at my house, you know, my bedroom's about 3 floors up, and I have an escape ladder, but those things scare me. I mean, I used to climb ladders, those things scare me. They're very rickety, and that is my last resort. Hey, you know, all else has failed, help's not here, okay, fine, then that's when I'm going to throw that thing out.
Something else to keep in mind is your building has more than one stairwell. Okay, know where they're at, and the stairwells are designed in a way to keep smoke out of them. Okay, that's why it's one of the reasons why they have self-closing doors, and it's unlawful to prop those doors open. Okay, so we have a fire in the hallway where smoke gets into the hallway, and the door to the stairwell, it's a rated assembly. Once you're into the stairwell, you're essentially in your exit way. Okay, that should be a clean area. So if for whatever reason that stairwell is untenable, try the other stairwell.
That's why you know 2 ways out. Always know 2 ways out. Okay. Any other questions at all?
If your door is warm or hot, don't open it.
Right, yeah, what you can usually do before, although there's mixed feelings on this, but basically before you open the door, you know, when I said, you know, crack the door open, take a peek, you can certainly put the back of your hand, usually to the knob, because if anything's going to get hot, usually the door is just not going to do it, but I would do it right there, and if it's really, really hot, that might be a good indication that there could be, you know, really close, and maybe you don't want to open it at that point.
And, you know, another thing too, in a building like this one, that the era that this building was constructed, it was done pretty soundly. So the chances of a fire getting out of apartment 1 and into the hallway or even into other apartments is pretty slim. You know, it would have had to have been a pretty significant fire to begin with. And what's more likely to happen is it would go out the balcony and then get into the next apartment's balcony. That's much more likely a scenario than getting out into the hallway. And that's why it's so imperative that you leave the self-closures on your doors, and you make a conscious effort to close your door when you leave. If the fire's in your apartment, make sure that door closes when you're on your way out, because you're putting everybody else on that floor, and maybe even the building, in peril.
Yes?
If there is a fire and when everybody gets out, is it best that everybody leave their doors unlocked in case?
Don't worry about that. And I'll tell you why. The short answer is yes, that's best. Okay, but when you're leaving your apartment, you know, how many times you leave your apartment and you've left your keys or you left something, and that's with no duress. Now you're leaving with a load of stress on you, okay? You know, maybe even panicked. And now you're going to worry about fiddling around with your doorknob or the lock, okay? We're going to get in one way or the other, and if your apartment is on fire or your apartment is on the floor that's on fire, we're just going to force the door. We're going to break the door to check. Beyond, and that's if there's a significant fire, okay? If it's just a smell, we don't typically break the doors. We wait on the maintenance guy. And the reason we don't wait when there is a fire is obvious. It's life-saving. Okay, $100, $300, whatever it may be, to repair your door is really insignificant in the scheme of things. You messing around trying to unlock the door, it's a great question. There's a lot of literature that will recommend that when you leave your door unlocked. And if you think about it, leave it unlocked. Don't intentionally lock it. But don't worry about it.
But and the other thing I'd add to that too, the other thing sometimes people make a mistake along these lines, especially if it's a cold night. Oh, here, let me get dressed. I'm going to go get this on. I'm going to go get my jacket. Don't do it.
Brush your hair. It looks good, you know?
Yeah, maybe that too. I mean, I think people have done stranger things.
I saw that happen.
So, just get out. That's your thing. Fire doubles in size every roughly 60 seconds. Okay? It gets real big real quick. It really does. And I assure you, we will bring in different resources from ride-on buses, metro buses, whatever. If it's inclement weather, we'll get you out of the elements as quickly as we can, and then make other arrangements.
It's inclement.
Yeah, no, don't worry about that. We'll get you out of the elements as quickly as we can. The Red Cross usually comes in and helps us too. We'll get that. Just get out. And a lot of times, again, people plan ahead. They'll have stuff right by their bedside, whether it be a little robe or something like that, so that they can just get up, put it on, walk out.
Hey, I keep my homeowner's policy number with me all the time, so that in case there is a fire, I don't have to go searching for my policy in case something happens. So I'd like to recommend that to everybody.
I'll tell you, on the lines of homeowners insurance, I think that, if I'm mistaken, there's renters in the building as well as subletters.
I'm sorry?
Is there subletters in the building as well?
Oh, yes,
Look into renters insurance. It is so inexpensive and such a lifesaver if something goes wrong. If your neighbor has a fire and it damages your apartment and you're out of your apartment for 3 or 4 days, the Red Cross will put you up for maybe a day or two. After that, you're on your own. If you have renter's insurance, you'll be in a hotel. Now, if your apartment is burned up, it could be months before you're back in. Renter's insurance is typically $200–300 a year, and it covers everything that you need. And it's really tragic when we have fires in apartment buildings, and the people may not really even have a lot to begin with, and they've lost that, and now they're on the street. There's very little there are resources, but it's not much. And for the $200–300 a year, especially if you have children and other people that are counting on you to help them out, it's really senseless not to have it.
I just thought of something. I don't have a pet, but a lot of people in the building have pets. And if they see smoke in their unit, should they look at their pet first and then?
No, I mean that's a very tough thing for pet owners to grapple. I mean, I have pets, and they mean the world to me. But your preservation is it. I mean, if you can call them and they'll come, great. Otherwise, when things settle down, we'll either get you back up to them or we'll get them down to you. And I know you've had your hand up a lot, and we've been missing you.
It's okay. My disabled brother lives on the 7th floor, and I'm on the 1st floor. Should I go and get him?
No.
Yeah.
Your best bet.
Help him with the plan.
Yeah, help him exactly with the plan number 1. But then you can certainly come to our folks that are outside and say, hey, I just want to let you know, my brother's on the 7th floor, he's disabled, and give them the information. And then our folks can take it from there. Because chances are, you go up, and if the 7th floor is the floor that the fire's on and stuff, and things have gotten out to the hallways and stuff, chances are at that point, you've just made our efforts doubly worse. And now we're probably, instead of just only having to look for one person and knowing maybe where he's at, we now got to look for 2, and we don't know.
Plus, I'd be in the way of everybody trying to go down.
Yeah, take it. Yeah, so just you have the right idea. Let us know outside and make that.
We recently had one situation similar to what Steve is saying. I think it was in Washington. Apparently there was a fire in a home, and the husband said to the wife, I'll take care of the baby or child. You stay here and I'll come back for you. He got out with the baby. He tried to get back in, but meanwhile now the smoke is so intense that he could not get in to save her. And she was sitting there waiting for him instead of going out. I don't know what he intended to do. I thought he wanted to be a hero or something. So the fireman couldn't even get in. The smoke was so intense. The fireman sustained injuries, smoke inhalation or whatever it was, and the lady died. So you can't do that. And the other thing that I was going to say is I had a cousin who tried to put out his own fire in the kitchen and not call the fire department. As a consequence, it was 6 months before they got back into the house because the kitchen had to be redone, and I think it went into the bedroom, and I don't know what else, all over the place. So that's exactly what Captain Mann was saying, is if you can, don't let it get... But the other thing is, I think I would be very panicky if what you're saying we do is stay in, and I know there's a fire out there.
No, that's only if you're trapped. And that's only if you physically feel, I physically cannot exit my unit. I physically cannot get out.
See?
Then that's when you stay. And you protect yourself like that. Please, I hope no one has gotten the impression that I am saying, oh, if the fire alarm goes off, go running to your bedroom and shut the door. No. That is only if you are trapped.
Yeah.
You cannot get out. You feel, I physically cannot. There is thick black smoke, and I even see an orange glow down the hallway. I can't get out. That is the only time you stay in the apartment. If your apartment's on fire, whether you're in a wheelchair or you have to crawl out. You've got to. And get in the hallway.
One of the things that he's been harping on, and I hope you all listen to, is to try to get to the stairwell. And one of the things that I've done when I came in here to do the inspection is to make sure that the doors on every floor close. That's very important to make that stairwell safe for you, is that the door closes. So the reason for bringing that up is that I want you to, if you observe one of your stairwell doors that's cracked open, let somebody know so that they can fix that. Another thing is that when you step inside the stairwell, I make sure that there is signage now. It tells you what the discharge floor is if you get disoriented, and that may very well happen, or you may have a friend here that's not familiar with the building and does not know which floor actually exits to the outside. Signage is in the hall, inside the stairwell now. So my point of saying that is this: bells go off. You have that opportunity to get out of your apartment and get to the stairwell. Please do it. Get to the stairwell and make sure that that door closes behind you. That's giving you time. If you're unable to go down the stairs, at least you are in an area that gives you some time, more time for somebody else to get up there, maybe help you. As they come down the stairs, maybe they'll be able to help you. But what I'm saying is that doors is important, for that door to close behind you. Don't prop it open when you're moving, stuff like that, and damage that door, because that is helping you, giving you more time, keeping the smoke out of the stairwell. And just like she said before, if I can't go down in one stairwell, there's another one on the other end. Beat feet to get to that one as soon as possible. The sooner you get out, make that move, the better chance you have of getting to that stairwell and getting down and get down safely. But if the bells go off and you sit around taking your time getting out of the house or getting out of your apartment, getting out of there, then you're causing yourself problems. That's why he was saying something about a fine for staying in the house, inside the building. That's just we're not trying to get any money. We're trying to get you to do the right thing. Bells go off, get out. Go. You have time. Get out and go. Get to that stairwell and get down the stairs.
But what do we do now since we can't hear the alarm? What do you suggest?
We're working on that.
I know, but we could have a fire until we get it resolved.
Okay. The thing about that is this. From our standpoint, all we can do is write the order and say, hey, look, this is something that we see is a problem. You need to take care of it. Now, it's up to you and your management to get that problem solved as soon as possible. All we can do is say, I need this done, I need it done now. That's all I can say to you right now. Then you have to go back and say, hey, let's get this problem solved, let's take care of it. For me, I can't go any further than that.
This is the main reason I started getting involved in this, because I wasn't getting an answer. What do we do? If it takes 6 months to get this alarm that everyone can hear, or 3 months, what happens if a fire starts?
So in the interim, that's why Captain mentioned it earlier, make sure you have working smoke alarms in your units, because that's your last line of defense too. The other thing you can do is, again, you know, neighbors helping neighbors is, and again, this is only if it's safe to do so, okay? If I know you can't hear, you've told me you can never hear the alarm, because some people will be able to, some people won't, okay? And I know you can't, right? And the fire alarm goes off, I get up, I check. The hallway looks pretty clear anyways, but what I can do is I'm heading out, I'm walking by your door, boom, 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 boom.
That's what I'm telling
Hey,
people.
Sophie, you know, come on out. And if you really, you know, again, this is up to each individual person. You know, if you trust the person and you want to give a neighbor a key, that's fine too. But again, you know, you got to be careful too, because we also don't want to say that folks should be doing that if you get out in the hallway and there's thick black smoke and it's all you can do. Maybe, you know, it's here, you can crawl underneath it. You just need to get out. And then let us know. Hey, look, I know this one lady, my neighbor, she's on this floor. She usually can't hear the alarm, and I don't see her out here, so she's probably there. So if you guys all do that and look out for one another, then, you know, that helps too, and that gives you that extra layer of
Protection.
backup and protection. So that's what I would do. And that's why it's important to push that little test button and make sure it's working. And please, no, don't light something on fire and stick it there and I'll see if it works. That sometimes doesn't end well, okay? And I know sometimes, you know, some people don't cook too well, and that sometimes is a good test. Yes?
I know that a lot of some of the apartments have the light flashing, which is everybody can get that. Like, it doesn't make any noise, but if there's a fire alarm that goes off, they have this light that flashes.
Are you speaking to in this building? Somebody
That
has
in this
that?
building, but they're available.
Okay. What it sounds like you're talking about are some of the newer initiated devices that came along after this building was built, okay? And it has a strobe light in the hallways and in the apartments.
And it cannot be put in this building.
Oh, well, it absolutely can be put in this building.
Well, you know, a lot of us don't hear very well.
Well, I'll give you two answers
And everyone
for
has
that.
the responsibility to look for the private things that you can get.
Right. So here's two answers. I mean, can that be put in this building? It can, but you have to do some a study. You have to have some engineering here to see if, number one, your electrical system can handle that type of an alarm, and two is the cost. A lot of times
Well,
it's
I
cost.
know, I mean, if I can hear and I'm
Well,
really
and here's the other part to that, is there are smoke detectors for hearing impaired, and it has a very powerful strobe. I think there's one in my office, and I'm not sure exactly what, I think it's a state program more than a county program that issues those, but there are smoke detectors for the hearing impaired, and it's essentially a very bright, intense strobe light.
Well, the thing is, you know, we have responsibility to maintain our condominiums. If I feel that fright, that worry, I certainly would spend the money to do it.
Well, but usually if you're talking about like an alarm in the building, for the whole building?
No.
Just for yourself?
private
Okay, because,
alarm.
yeah, again, you're probably better getting the second option that Captain is talking about, because you really, for the first option he's talking about, it has to really be the whole building. And that's, you know, again, in a perfect world,
Well,
that costs a lot of money. In a perfect world, if this building were built today, you'd have residential fire sprinklers in every room, you'd have those strobe alarms in every single apartment, you know.
yeah, but the thing that's really impossible for
Right.
us. But, you know, privately, we can get.
You can get a hearing impaired smoke detector for your unit, single station.
That's all. The people that can hear
Absolutely.
should get that.
Yes, sir.
Are there any devices for the hearing impaired that can hear the evacuation alarm and be better than the human ear at hearing it and set off its own alarm inside the unit?
There are alarms that, and they actually shake the bed, which I personally prefer. They're a little more reliable, but what it does is it usually hooks into the it listens for the smoke alarm, a smoke alarm like that type of an alarm. I'm not sure with a building alarm if it's going to really activate. So again, if your smoke alarm's working in your unit and that goes off, it should then, the device hears it, and it sort of looks like, you know, those alarm clocks you put by your bed that seem to be disappearing. I think we're using iPhones now for our alarm clocks, but and iPads. So you put it there, it's hooked in, it listens for that, and then it will shake the bed. Which, personally, again, I like better because the strobes, it's sort of relying on, you know, somehow activating the person's eyes and stuff, which you know, it'll work, but I like the shaker better.
Well, I wasn't thinking so much about how it alerts the person, but whether it can hear the evacuation sound.
That's what I just said. It's not probably going to hear the building alarm. It's going to hear your smoke alarm.
That's what he's trying to say. He spoke to me about this earlier. He's talking about a sensor that's going to pick up something outside.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that right now. I'm not saying it's not out there. The only ones I've really seen, and the tricky part is they have to be UL listed. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there, but it hasn't been really tested. And they'll say, oh, it does this and this and this. And then you see there's no UL listing at all, Underwriters Laboratory. And we just don't recommend any of that stuff because it's who knows if it really works, right? So you better make sure it's UL listed. But the ones I know that I've heard that are listed and such really activate more to smoke alarms. And I'm not necessarily sure they have the same decibel level like or the same sort of tone for the building alarms to work.
And Mr. Delaney, Mr. Calder, who is our property manager, and I were talking about a similar situation. We both watched a 2020 or Dateline, I forget which one it was, program where they had an episode where a particular couple had their bedroom on the lower level, and on the upper level the 4 children slept. And with the smoke alarms that we have now, similar, that we buy at Home Depot here and there, all 4 children lost their lives because of the ineffectiveness of the alarms that we have. And apparently, the companies are saying that there are better alarms, and there are ways that they can perfect those, even the ones that we have that, I don't know, $14.99, whatever they cost when you get them at Home Depot. But they keep them cheap because some people aren't particularly interested in spending the extra $5 for a better smoke alarm. Now, which smoke alarm would do that? Do you know?
Well, you're talking about there's
the one in your unit.
No, there's a couple of things you're confusing here. What that study, what that situation's about.
It was about smoke alarms.
No,
the whole program.
I'm with you. I'm just trying to tell you what I know about it, and that is. And it gets to your issue too, with the device hearing it so it shakes the bed. They're doing more and more studies now with the kids. What they're finding with kids, the alarms are working. The alarms are sounding. There's decibel levels and tones of decibels that I'm not an engineer, I'm not an electrical engineer, I don't claim to be. So I'm just speaking as much as I can in layperson's term with this. That they're doing studies that older people, a type of tone and decibel alert is better, okay? For the younger kids, and I'm sure in that report they mentioned a smoke alarm that you could record your voice, okay, the dad or the mom, and say, Stevie, there's a fire, get out. You need to evacuate, Stevie, because usually, I'm sure his kids jump when they hear his voice.
That won't work.
You know, so
that's the ice cream. It says ice cream, go jump.
They'll go, But and they find that the kids actually respond better to the parent voice in the middle of, and this is in the middle of the night too, by the way. And So everyone has different sleeping patterns. Those are still tests and studies going underway, okay? So that has to do with decibel level and such. Now, as far as alarms, which is really sort of the issue you're going to be talking about here, is there's a type of technology called photoelectric and another one called ionization. And again, to keep it nice, short, and sweet, one sniffs larger smoke particles better, and others smoldering fires better, and the other fast flaming fires. Okay, so big smoke particles, small smoke particles. So at the end of the day, the alarms are going to sound one way or the other. They've just found a slight discrepancy on when the alarms sound. Okay, we will recommend, there's alarms out there, most alarms, and this one I would have to look, most alarms are what's called, are the ionization type. Okay, the other one's photoelectric. What we recommend is get the combination photoelectric ionization type of alarms. They're combination units, and that sort of covers both bases. But at the end of the day, as long as you have a smoke alarm, that's what you need. Again, the other part actually ironically gets back to, again, an audibility issue, and it's more with tone and decibel level and type of decibel that, again, I have no, and they are looking to try to improve that technology. They're doing right now a lot of studies with older people, and my hearing's gone, from years earlier, from, sirens in my ear all the time. And I don't have great hearing. So that's where we've been recommending too, by the way. How many of you have a smoke alarm in your bedroom? You do? Good.
In the hallway, right outside the bedroom.
Right. But how many of you have it in the bedroom?
In the bedroom.
Have it in your bedroom?
Should we?
Yep. Absolutely.
So we should have two.
By code, well, let me say this, and Captain would say this. By code, you guys are covered with the one alarm outside the sleeping area, okay? So this is not a code requirement. You're covered by code. If you want that extra assurance, okay, certainly feel free to plop one in your room as well. And especially if you have trouble hearing it. If you have trouble hearing it, then you have it maybe right above you, screaming out.
Did I hear you say earlier that you can call the fire department if you want them to install one for you?
Yes, we come out, we'll come to your residence, we'll change your battery, we'll install one for you. We even carry a cache of them if we come to your house because you're sick and we notice that your smoke detector is missing, we won't leave there until we install it.
Because what I have is an old one and I'd like to get it.
Well, that's a good point that we haven't really even touched on. There's a lifespan to the smoke detectors. Typically, it's 10 years.
Whoa.
Each manufacturer makes okay. But at 10 years, the smoke detector needs to be replaced. There's some variants from different manufacturers, and there's a new code coming out. I don't think it's out yet. I don't think it's been adopted yet, but they're going to seal smoke detectors, meaning it's got a 10-year give or take battery in it, and you don't change the batteries. It's just you install it. The manufacturer will tell you an end date for that battery. You periodically test it just to make sure it's still functioning. And when that end date comes, which is probably anywhere from 8 to 12 years, you throw it in the trash and you put in a new one.
These are hard.
That's interesting.
No, these are batteries.
Yes, ma'am.
So the one since the one in the hallway is hardwired or hardwired? So the one that I would put in the bedroom would just be...
Ideally, and I just don't think it's going to be very practical, but ideally you would hire an electrician and have him wire you one in there. And I'll tell you, the reason that's ideal is because if the one in the hallway activates, it'll also activate the one in the bedroom.
So the two will be connected? Is that what you're saying?
That's the ideal method. It's a little bit unpractical. It's pricey.
Oh.
But if you go to Home Depot and you go down their 80-foot wall of smoke detectors and you choose a battery-operated single station, that's certainly sufficient.
Are you going to leave this information here for us regarding the homes?
Regarding those parts.
The alarms, the smoke alarms, what you're saying now? Do you have any literature?
Did you bring literature on specific smoke
I have some. There is some in the yellow one on smoke alarms, but for the checklist. But I can send another document, because we have a bunch of information on our website.
You can take, send it to Mr. Caudle and go to Greg and he'll know what you do.
Yeah, if you could have him send me an email again, like he did a couple days ago or a week ago.
You want him to email you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I can
we'll take care of
send
that.
some flyers.
And I want to ask you another question. I just read something on our bulletin board. We've been discussing about the circuit, what is it called, circuit boxes?
Yeah.
And according to what I glanced at, we have been considering replacing them. And then the news literature is apparently saying that there's no need to do it, but we presently should be okay. Am I saying that correctly, Greg?
Yeah, the old Federal Pacific, in essence, if you were to catch fire, you would have caught fire by now. It just can't handle the modern appliances. You know, you get the high draw, the high amps and all that, and you do everything. Well, then yeah, you take it to check.
So that's what the study is saying. And what are you guys saying?
If you're using the regular low wattage stuff,
Yeah, that sounds like an electrical code.
Is that what you agree on that?
Well, I can't really speak to it. That's more of an electrical code.
That's not
I'm not, yeah.
And, you know, and I
You have to get an electrician.
You can certainly, the county has electrical inspectors. You can contact.
Oh, they do?
Contact, call 311, pose your question, and they'll route it to
most people that sell banks.
I have a fire extinguisher. Can you check it and see if that's okay? Last time I checked it was working.
Yeah, well, it's showing that it's full. Okay, you know how to operate it? Have you read the directions? Yeah, it's pretty simple. But this is a decision you don't have to make. I mean, not every fire is that you want to put out. But yeah, typically a cooking fire is going to involve grease. Put a lid on it, get out. Don't try to put water. Don't try to, because if you try to hit this, if you try to spray this at that, you're likely going to disperse the. Well, it may do that, but what's more than likely is going to happen is you're going to splatter and probably burn yourself. You know, or spread the fire even more. So cover up the cooking fires. If it's a pile of clothes and you can hit this real quick, that's fine. You do still need to contact 911 and tell them that you had a fire in your home and you think you put it out, because there's a lot of instances where people have put their fires out and hours later.
I know it's really trying to use it, but they always say you should have one in your house.
Yeah, there's recommendations to have fire
Yeah,
extinguishers.
but you really need to make sure you know how to use it, you're trained to use it, and usually the fire should be no larger than a very small pot or pan or trash can.
Yeah, your trash can catches on fire.
Because once it goes above that, what we find is people delay calling 911. They're already trying to fight a fire that it's already beyond them, but they're wasting a lot of time putting themselves in danger. So just when in doubt, get out. But if you're there, you catch it when it's first started, it's that small, you have that device, you have your back to an exit, you know, so in case it does get too big and it's not working, then you can just back out, close the door, and you're good.
I'll sit fire.
We know that it's against the rules, and I think it's against the law, but every now and then you see someone trying to use a barbecue grill on their balcony. What should you do?
You're not even allowed to store a grill on your balcony. So, is your question, what should you do if you see that?
Yeah.
Call 911 and say, hey, my neighbor's barbecuing on the balcony, and we'll come out. The fire truck will come out, you know, and knock on the door.
It's throwing flour and like if it's still be having a problem, to put flour on it?
No.
No?
Cover it.
Just
cover it, yeah, and then leave it covered, turn the heat off.
You can actually create more of a flash fire too with that, with the flour actually. That's the worst thing you could do. I think what you're thinking of is baking soda.
Oh, baking soda is
Yeah,
better?
but I would, well, just what Capman said is the way to go.
Yeah.
Put the cover on it, but please do not use flour. I think it would go very bad for you.
Mr. Delaney, how important is keeping that fire lane in front of our building open? Sometimes we have a Federal Express truck out there, the postal truck, E-Pod, somebody picking up, somebody leaving the car to take care of.
To prepare their pets for any fire that might.
Well, I think the only thing you can do with pets, and like Catman, we have a dog, we love our dog. Hopefully, they're well trained enough that they will come to you right away and you're able to exit with them. But frankly, as was mentioned earlier, you can't sit there and waste time trying to coax them out of somewhere. And so your best bet is just to get out. You can certainly let our firefighters know that you have a pet up in your condo. We actually have pet oxygen masks on some of our ambulances, believe it or not. And we have rescued cats. I think we rescued a cat a couple months ago, I think. And we've rescued dogs. We will do it as we come, across them if we're able. But usually it ends badly when the owner either gets out and then goes back in. I don't know, 8 or 9 times out of 10 that owner dies and the pet with them or her. But your best bet is to get yourself out. If they're not coming with you, let us know and we will do the best we can.
And I guess the person shouldn't try to prop the door.
Absolutely.
No. That's actually making it worse. Yeah, absolutely. Don't prop your door.
Right.
Certainly if the apartment's on fire, that we've already been through those problems. And actually, if you prop the door, hoping the pet will run out and your apartment's not on fire, if there's smoke and stuff getting in the hallway, you're actually potentially harming your pet. You're giving your pet less of a chance.
Right. Much like the stairwell doors, your apartment doors are also rated to prevent smoke and fire from coming in there. Okay, it'll withstand a certain amount of time and a certain amount of heat, and repel a certain amount of smoke, or not allow smoke to go through for a period of time. So at any level of exiting, close your doors. And anything that you do to leave those open is creating an issue. It's breaking down the layers of protection that you have.
So yeah, your best bet is just to make sure, your pet, hopefully your pet will come if called. I mean, that's the best thing I can say as far as planning. And you have a leash or something right by the door, the front door, maybe. But again, don't waste time.
Well, I'm thinking in terms of what you can do prior to anything happening. I mean,
well, you can have, your leash, like you're saying, by the door.
And I've always had something like, something to put them in that I could take.
Right, like the leash. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I was talking about. Have a leash there, or certainly a box. Again, the key is going to be making sure the pet will come to you, or you can grab the pet as you're going out and put them in that box, or put them on a leash and stuff like that. So what we're saying is that's how you prepare for it, right? But let's face it, sometimes dogs, cats especially, they might, if the alarm's going off and there's smoke, they might panic and go hide. And so we're just saying, please, don't waste time trying to coax them out, because they're probably not going to at that point. Certainly let us know once you're outside. But if you have everything set up like we talked about, that's preparing beforehand. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And again, please get the handouts up there with all the information.
The cards.
That's my card, yeah.
And
Thank you.
May I say one thing before everybody goes? I want to thank both of you for coming. I think we got a great deal out of it. I did not get a chance, at least I forgot, I should not have. This is the president of our board, Eugene Begun, and I'm glad that he's here because he's going to help me remember some of the things that we have to discuss, such as having a fire drill and evacuation plan and all of these things. And I never got a chance to thank all the ladies who helped put up, but I will thank them individually. They're always the same people who come through every time.
Thank you.
Thank you again for coming. Thank you again. Come through every time. It's the same people individually. They're always, but I will thank them. and will help with his thank all the ladies. Never got a chance and these things. But then and all the evacuation and fire drill and having to discuss such things that we have to let me remember some. He's going to speak here because I'm glad that everyone and the of our board, this is the president should not have, at least I forgot, get a chance. I did not get a great deal out of it. I thank you for coming. I want to thank both of everybody goes. May I say one thing?
Thank you.
With all the aircrafts up there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Preparing beforehand. We talked about that, so we talked, like everything's set up. But if you have a call once you're out, certainly let us know at that point, because they're probably not going to coax them out. They're not trying to waste time. Don't please, And so we're just hot. They might panic and smarts going off, and there's light. If the Muscats, especially, they sometimes let's face it, right. Prepare for it. That's how you prepare. What we're saying is that. So unleash and stuff box or put them in that as you're going out and press hat. You can grab you or make sure the pet will come in. The key's going to be make a box, or certainly about the leash. Exactly. And that's what I was saying. Right, like the leash. Yeah.
I could tell you something to put them. Something like I've always had.
Your leash.
Happening. I mean, too. And what you can do. So I'm thinking in terms of
time. Don't waste. But again, maybe the front door, working right by the door, leash or something, and you have as far as plans. The best thing I can say. I mean, that's a common call. Hopefully your pet will. Your best bet is just to make it. So yeah.
Protection that you have down the layers, down it's breaking, it's creating an issue. It's open. Is anything that you do leave any of your doors. Next level of any so for a period of time go through it allows smoke to an amount of smoke and repels and a certain amount of heat, a certain amount of time, it'll withstand it'll coming in there in fire to prevent smoke. Rated doors are also your apartment doors. They're much like extensions.
Just giving your pet less of it, you're harming your pet. You're potentially. In the hallway, there's smoke and stuff getting fire, and your apartment's not open, the pet will run out. You prop the door, and actually, we've already been through those fire, that the apartment's on, certainly, certain door, absolutely, don't prop it. I'm making it worse. Yes, that's it. No.
Absolutely. Across the door, the person shouldn't get.
We'll do the best we can. We'll let us know with you. If they're not coming up to get yourself, his best bet, your butt, with them. Pet eyes, and sometimes I tend later back, and then goes back. Either gets out when the owner is badly, but usually, them if we're able. We'll do it as we rescue dogs, and we months ago, we rescued a cat. I think we rescued cats. And we have ambulances, believe it, on some of our masks. We actually have pet condo. If you're up in your bless you pet that you have firefighter, you can certainly to get out. So your best bet is and them out of somewhere trying to cope, sit there and waste time. You can't stand. You can't. As was mentioned earlier, frankly, but them. When they're able to exit, when you're right away, they will come to you. They're all trained enough. They're hopefully. We love our dog. We have a dog, cat man, and like the only thing you can do is pet. Well, I think
that my family, there are pets here.